Brought to you by Station House Coffee and Amazon Prime.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Napoleon Dynamite. One of my favorite comedies, came out in 2004. At that time, I was living in San Diego, and I lived next to this little movie theater, right? It was next to a mall. The mall had a bigger theater, but this one was like down a little bit by the trolley station. It's recently, not recently, but since has been closed and converted into like restaurants. But it used to be a movie theater, and I loved going to that movie theater because it would have little independent movies. I just like small theaters, just the feeling, the kind of the ambiance of a small movie theater versus like a giant like super megaplex. Which all the small theaters are probably non-existent now, but after the pandemic's over. But Napoleon Dynamite, I remember going to see that, and I saw it multiple times. Because it's a movie that spoke to me, right? It takes place in like the 90s somewhere. It's kind of in Idaho, so maybe it could be the current day in Idaho, but there's still VHS tapes. It's pre-internet. Like, they're not pre-internet, but it's still like pay per minute internet. It's still home phone, landline phone, no cell phones yet. VHS recorders. So it's just before technology hit. But I believe it's the 90s. And you got Napoleon, who's like the king of awkward. Like, this kid, his parents, like, insecurity and clumsy, like they kind of made a kid, and it came out Napoleon Dynamite. Although his mom or his grandma is like a badass, but you don't really see her. But she is, she gets hurt doing some badass stuff. But Napoleon is by far the king of awkward, and his older brother that he lives with, Kip. Is it Kip or Chip? I think it's Kip. I just watched this yesterday, and yes, Kip. And 32-year-old, he's an internet pimp, getting all the ladies on the dial-up chat rooms, but also into cage fighting, which at the time I was not into the UFC yet. So this was like, now that I watch it, like I relate to Kip a lot more in a lot of ways. Kip is an interesting character. He also has kind of the same arc that Tom Cruise had in Risky Business, where the prostitute turned Tom Cruise into like this cool suave guy. LaFonda turned Kip into like this fucking gangster dude out in Ohio, wearing like a do-rag and like big chain. But I mean, we could all be so lucky to find our LaFonda, to where we feel our most comfortable being ourselves. But yeah, this whole movie is, everybody's awkward. Everybody in this entire movie is a dork. Their uncle, who plays like, everybody's this small pond kind of mentality too, where it's like the jocks in the school that think they're badass and cool and everything are like the just as dorky as everybody, as the dorks, as Pedro and Napoleon. But yeah, it's just, so rewatching it, the scene, I mean, for the opening credits, the music, whether it's the White Stripes or Jack White, I don't know if it what it's labeled as, but that opening music mixed with the awesome kind of how they display the credits on just like different items, like a library card and like, sprayed in mustard on a sandwich. Just amazing intro to just what is to be an awkward. Like, every aspect of this fits, right? You got music that fits. Like, the score is very simple, very kind of awkward. The characters are all amazingly awkward and not like over the top. Like, Nacho Libre is the follow-up, Jared Hess's follow-up to this movie, which I enjoyed, but not nearly as much, because Jack Black doesn't embody the awkwardness that thrives in a Jared Hess movie. I think this is by far his best work. Just because everybody is perfect. All the casting is perfect. Pedro, Rex Kwon Do, Deb, even Grandma, everybody. Uncle Rico, who's like just super like squirmy, but he's like this small pond guy who was a football star or whatever in high school, and then that's just who he's been. That's his identity for the rest of his life. He's like 40 now, but he still considers himself to be like this football star, which is kind of sad. But it's like this because it's all in Idaho. Everybody lives far, far away from each other. So it's just like this weird universe of people that's just so weird. And then you also get kind of, I mean, it's also a school of all white kids, so you get to see kind of the type of racism that exists in Idaho with the principal. But which I didn't, I mean, it's looking back on it, it's like, oh, wow, he is a pretty, which I'm sure is, still, status quo for a lot of places. But yeah, once we get introduced to Napoleon and he throws that toy out of the window of the school bus, like, what movie you're watching. Like, his throat is a character in the movie. Like, there are multiple times where just him swallowing is like, or just breathing is this monumental character moment in which is perfect. It's the way he acts, the way everybody acts is like so real without being like over. Like, I don't feel like anybody's like a caricature necessarily of who they're representing, the type of person they're representing. Even like Pedro's cousins who drive the lowrider, like, they're toned down. Like, they're not over. They're still like represent kind of a stereotypical kind of gangster thug vato cholo guy in what they would be, if they moved, if the whole family moved out to Idaho. They'd still want to drive their lowriders, part of the culture. Go watch LA Originals, for God's sake. But yeah, just so much of this, and the nostalgia of seeing like the VHS tapes, you seeing the Trapper Keepers, the tetherball games, the fucking, like, him trying to do a spinning back kick on the tetherball is hilarious. There's also, you get to see like these little moments that kind of show the town that you're in, where like the school bus shows up with a bunch of kids, and on the other side of the school bus is this farmer about to put down his cow and, shoots the cow, and the kids go crazy. It's got moments where Napoleon's taste testing cow milk and trying to diagnose what the imperfections are in the cow milk. Like, just all this kind of small town stuff that it just like, it feels so real and just like so dry too. That's the thing. Like, dry comedy, it's so tough for like the balance of the dry comedy and also just the overly awkward character. There's not a whole lot of dialogue in this. It's just like you're really getting to see these actors kind of live in these characters, which is interesting as fuck. Just so interesting to see like Deb and her, just like, they're all uniquely, like, they're people that I love because I grew up awkward. All of my all of my friends were outcasts and were awkward people. They were the minorities a lot in the school I would go to, like, because we're all outcasts. We all have a bond of like, I was the generic fat kid, right? So that's who I was in my group. And then I had a lot of smart, nerdy friends, and then Korean, Japanese, just like you just kind of gravitate. It's weird how like just the other category of people kind of they gravitate, and it's nice because you get a nice plethora of friends, a diverse friend group. So it's a really fun time. So I love this movie, man. I forgot, it's been a while since I've watched it, and I forgot how funny it is. It's still hilarious, and it touches my heart. Like, emotionally, like, I relate, but also the awkwardness is at a level where it's like, like, I kind of feel better about myself because I wasn't necessarily that awkward, or at least my memory of it. But yeah, Napoleon Dynamite, man. Not a big fan of the rest of the movies Jared Hess has done. Just, I think he nailed it with this one, especially for me. And that's why I went and saw it so many times in the movie theater. It was just like, it was a movie that was made to be like, here, this is, if you've ever been awkward, if you grew up awkward and felt like ostracized by society, here you go. Here's a piece of entertainment for you. Enjoy. And it's interesting to kind of see that aesthetic kind of transform through. There's a lot of movies that came out that kind of had that Napoleon Dynamite aesthetic, but nothing is This is the penultimate of awkward, dry comedies. Which, if you haven't seen it, go see it. It is a classic. Napoleon Dynamite. I watched it on Hulu, I believe, or Amazon Prime. InspiredDisorder.com/Prime. I don't know. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Station House Coffee. Order now through InspiredDisorder.com/coffee for small batch, single origin, premium coffee. That's at InspiredDisorder.com/coffee. Order now. It's brewed in Vermont, shipped straight to you. Order now, InspiredDisorder.com/coffee. And follow Station House Coffee on Instagram. Also, get 30 days free of Amazon Prime. Sign up now, InspiredDisorder.com/Prime. That's where you get thousands of movies and TV shows you can instantly stream. Tons of music selections, borrow Kindle books, and of course, unlimited free 2-day shipping. That's at InspiredDisorder.com/Prime for your free 30-day trial. Sign up now, InspiredDisorder.com/Prime. New episodes come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Go buy my artwork and merch, now available over at InspiredDisorder.com. Follow this show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!